Oh, dear guest, thanks for coming for this. I hope it will be an exciting and interesting and crucial panel discussion. And thanks for coming. First, sorry, I would like to sit. And first, I would like to introduce our guest. And sorry, but I should read it because I don't want to be mistaken. Okay? And after the introduction, there will be a short presentation of our estimated Polish guest, and then it will be a panel discussion. And before 10 minutes of the final, I will ask you, is there any question? If there is question, our guest should try to answer it. If there is no question, we will do continuously. Okay, I wait a little to sitting, and then we can begin. Okay, so first I would like to introduce our guest. First, our Polish guest, Łukasz Mamica, full professor, Vice Rector for Cooperation and Projects at Krakow University of Economics, Head of the Department of Public Economics, Coordinator of the research area Industrial Policy and Development in the International Association of Economists European Association for Evolutionary Political Economy. He conducts research on energy transformation, policy and economic competitiveness. Author of characteristic sculptural reforms based on the concept of co-creativity in art, which assumes the necessity of creative thinking on the part of both the creator and the recipient of the work. So please welcome Mr. Professor Łukasz Mamica. Our other Hungarian guest, maybe some of them know him, Dr. Tamás Pálvölgyi, Deputy International Dean of the Faculty of Water Sciences of Ludovika University of Public Service. Professor Pálvölgyi has a higher degree in Earth Sciences and a PhD in Geography and Meteorology. He began his career as a climate scientist and worked in the Ministry of Environment in the 1990s. Heading the Department of Climate Policy and Environmental Strategic Planning from 1997. His scientific publications number more than 100. So, first of all, I would like to invite Professor Mamica to give us a short presentation.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon. Yeah. Is it working fine? Okay. I will talk about some problems connected with the change of the climate and relations with the energy policy, because these problems are very strictly related. And when you look at this graph, you can see that the problem is that when we started to use the fossil fuel, mainly the coal and oil, the CO2 level is very high. Yeah, you can see here at the end, from 1950s, the CO2 level is very high. And because it's very high, we have a problem with higher temperature. I will come back to this in a moment. But please look, what are the sources of this problem? Yeah, they are special gases which are responsible for warming climate and the consequences. And of course, the most important is CO2. Yeah. Almost 80% of these problems are connected with the CO2. Methane is the second source, and other are not so important. And when we look at the sources of the problem, you can see that almost 1/3 is connected with the transport. Yeah, so this is also the reason why we think to avoid fuels in public, generally in transport. Second is 1/3 gases are produced in electricity production, industry, and also in agriculture. So, unfortunately, and if you look at this graph, you can see that we use more and more natural energy resources. You can see it's dramatical growth from 1950s. China, United States, and other countries are generally going higher. Positive situation that's in Europe, you can see down here, it's decreasing. So we are making some effort to make lower emission of coal and oil. You can see here in this way. And what is the problem? Yeah, we have from the sun, we have every day the amount of energy. And normally, some of this energy should be transferred away to the surface. But we have more CO2, and it means that you, in this situation, not all energy which should go out, the energy is at the earth. So the temperature is growing, and the problems are directly connected with the CO2 levels. And the consequences are very important. You can see here the picture from California fires. About $50 billion American was the cost of this fire, connected not only with the climate change, but also with the deregulation. Yeah, because 1 year before it was a rainy year, the bushes were growing. Later was very dry, and the big fire and big costs. So if we don't put money for the transformation of energy, we will pay in other aspects. Yeah, we will pay in agriculture. We will, because the farmers will not collect as many products as before. And anyway, we will pay. So it's much better to pay to reduce the CO2 instead of just paying the cost. You can see another picture from California. You can see the pictures, houses before the fire and what is after. Yeah, just no houses in US. They build houses using the wood as a construction material. So when it's a fire, you can see there is nothing. And there's a problem to reconstruct or not reconstruct, because if you have the probability of the fire next year, does it make a sense to make the same wooden buildings in this area? And we observe the consequences of the climate change in different things. You can see here the glacier in Austria. At the left side, 19th century, there is a glacier. At the right side, there is no glacier. And it's typical in Alps. So we have the problem because the water from these glaciers in summer were used for the farming production in Italy. And now in summer, there is no water because the glaciers are not existed anymore. And we have the problem which we pay for it. And because the temperature is higher, the sea level is also growing. You can see here, from 19th century, we use more fossil fuels, and the sea level is growing very fast. So this is another cost of the climate change and another cost of using the fossil fuels. And what is worse, when you can see that the speed of the higher level of sea is increasing. Yeah, in 2019 to 2020, it was 2 millimeters per year. Next decade, almost 3 millimeters. Next decade, 4 and 5 millimeters a year. Yeah, so there is a permanent growth because the icebergs are disappearing because we use this fossil fuels into big problems. And now about also introduction to our discussion today about the green energy. As you know, there is some problems when we have no wind and no sun. That situation could happen. And in this, when your system is based on only on the renewable energy, in this situation we have the problem. For example, you can see here when we call it dark calm, so no wind, no sun, and the price of energy is 10 times more expensive than usual. So this is the problem with the storage of energy which we have. And irregularity of energy production from renewable sources is the main problem. Yeah? When there is a big wind, we have a lot of energy. When there's not enough wind or not enough sun, there is a problem. Yeah? You can see here the massive blackout in Spain and Portugal in just a few weeks ago, in April 28. Maybe you have seen. Here is the satellite picture. You can see all Europe is with lights at night, and we can see not the Spain and Portugal, because it was the lack of energy. And there are different theories why the problem was in Spain. Probably it was the combination of all of them. So grid instability, because the grid must be prepared to absorb this renewable energy. And in Spain, about 70% of energy in energy mix is based on renewable energy. So it's one of the highest in source of energy, renewable energy. And also when we have the problem with synchronous energy reserves, because the problem with renewable energy, which is not solved yet, is that we have a lot of energy, but problem with storage. We don't know how to storage in a cheap way. Of course, the batteries are not the solution, because the batteries, huge batteries, are expensive. They have negative impact on the environment, and this is the problem. So we have now the progress in science is very fast, and every month we hear about new ways of energy storage. And if we solve the problem of the energy storage, probably the situation will be much easier. We have no problem with renewable energy production, but the problem is with the storage and what to do, for example, in winter time when it's a minus temperature, at night when it's no sun and no wind, and what to do in this situation. Okay, thank you for this introduction to the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This fascinating and a little scary lecture. And first, in the beginning, I would like to tell you that originally I am a geography and history teacher, and it was very long time ago, 20 years ago. But when I was at the university, there was two big part of the teachers. One of them said that, oh, there is no problem, it's only climate hysteria. So it's a hysteria, and there is no problem. It's not we are the reason of the problem. The problem is based because of some other questions. The other part of the teachers said that in a chestnut we will die. So 10 years, 20 years we will die. The Earth is over. We have to go to the Mars or somewhere else. And now we have two high professional colleagues. So I would like to ask it that. Is it a fact now that we are the reason of the problem, or there is some questions about it? Maybe that is our first question for you.
Thank you very much. I think this is really a good starting question. And my view is that we are somewhere in a turning point. So if the world, and I would like to emphasize not only Hungary and not only the European Union. So if the world, the nations of the world, will not be able to stabilize the atmospheric concentration of carbon dioxide, certain dramatic and probably catastrophic changes are expected in the climate. What does it mean in context of Central and Eastern Europe, or in context of Carpathian Basin? One strong scientific evidence that there will be more dry period, worsening situation for the agriculture activities. And of course, these kind of changes may strongly interlinked with our lifestyle, with our living standards, with the competition of the economies. So, in briefly to answer his question, that we are before the turning to worse situation, and we have not too much time to change the economic patterns which stabilize the level of carbon dioxide.
Yeah, I agree. There is no enough time but there is a strong pressure to solve the problem. And the problems are not far away. They are not in Africa, but also very close. Yeah, I have read that in Budapest, in the Dunau, it's possible to see the rock, which is visible only if there is a very, very dry year. I haven't seen this yet. I will go for a walk today afternoon and see it. Yeah, but there is a problem. The same is in Poland. Yeah, we have a very dry season, problem for farmers, problem for forests because they are fires, and the situation is really difficult. Also, if you look at the international context, it's a problem. As you know, the President Trump in the United States, he is talking, okay, there is no problem. We can use more oil, more fossil fuels. Don't worry. The most important is the competitiveness. But if the price of the climate change is so high, there is no competitiveness. Yeah, because we lose money to reconstruct or to repair something what was destroyed. Yeah, so I believe in the fast development of science and new methods of energy storage. Because as you see, there is no problem to produce this energy. Only the problem is how to keep it in an effective, cheap way. And I hope it will be solved. Also for Europe, the situation is better because now we realize that taking the fossil fuel from Russia is a very bad idea because the money are used for the war in Ukraine, and we now develop the renewable energy. And this is also good because the money are in the country. Yeah? If we import the oil or gas from some outside, we transfer their money, and often the money are going to the countries which we don't want to support. If you develop the renewable energy, the money are in your country. Yeah, so it's also supporting the economy.
Oh, thank you very much. So now the answer is clear, as I see that we have to do something, and maybe everybody feels it. If you would like to remember the last summer of in Hungary, that was crazy, and now it will be the normal, as I heard it from professors and experts. So we have to do something. That's clear. And what do you think? What is the good answer? For example, this green transition. We can speak about this kind of method. It was only in the beginning a slogan, but now we see that it came alive. And as you see that in the Iberian Peninsula, there was some serious problem because there was no electricity for 2 days or 3 days. So I would like to ask you, what can Poland or what can Hungary do in this situation? Because, for example, in Poland, you got coal. So there is, and the geopolitical question, of course, too, because there is a war now in Ukraine, so we maybe have to forget the cheap Russian gas. But in Poland, there is coal. Okay, it's not a good solution, but it could be a solution for a little term, or a short term. But for example, in Hungary, we have a little oil at Zala County, but not so much. So I would like to ask you, what do you see? What is the solution in Poland for this green transition, and in Hungary?
Of course, in Poland, we have a lot of coal, but the coal generates problems, with the CO2. So we now have the program for a longer period, but all coal mines will be closed. Yeah, so now we transfer the economy to renewable energy, and it's, for example, private solar panels in individual houses. They grow so fast, there is a problem with the network, with the grid, because the electricity network was historically constructed from the big power energy plant to the consumers. And now the individual houses, they produce energy and have to transfer energy in another way. And this is the problem which must be solved quite soon. And of course, it requires a lot of money. for this transformation. So we are in this process, but also important is how to save energy, because it's not only the problem, because the cheapest energy is the energy which you can save. Yeah, so we have a very big programs, and they are financed by the state to isolate houses just to minimize energy demand and to make changes in factories to be less dependent on energy. So there are a lot of actions which could be done. And of course, the main problem, the storage of the electricity. As you know, there are different ideas how to do it, or there are some even the projects when they are the mirrors in the surface, and they collect sun and later the transfer energy to the ground. There are ideas of keeping the energy in a big boxes with the sand, which they accumulate the energy in when it's the sun. So the people are using different concept of how to do it. And I think this is the only way. In Poland, we also develop, because we don't have the nuclear power plants. Yeah, you have in this situation in a better point, because it's working. In Poland, we signed the contract with the American partners to create the energy power plant. But before it was not necessary, because as it was mentioned, we have a lot of coal, and it was not a problem. But the coal is also a problem with the dry, yeah, because there is a black coal and this kind of brown coal, which is near the border with the Czech Republic, and there is you have to make a mine which you pump water out, and there is a big dry also in Czech, on the Czech part, and it simply generates problems.
Thank you. If we step back to your question, which was what are the solutions of the green transition? If you allow me, I try to separate it for two levels. One level is our life. So what can be done by us, by our family, in our day-to-day life? And my feeling is, and I am absolutely sure, that there are no green transition without changing of our lifestyle. We are the final consumers. We consume the energy, we consume the goods. So we are so-called the king on the market. An example, if you turn down the thermostat in your central heating system with 1 centigrade, this could bring almost 10% energy saving. Are there necessary financial investment to do it? No. Only change of mind, change of our lifestyle. Sometimes it is more difficult than the technology-related investments or technology-related innovations. So my understanding about the possible solution or the possible action in the green transition is, in first place, the changing of our lifestyle. But if we step to another dimension, the dimension of the policies, the responsibility of the governments and the European Union and the UN and so on, I think there are much more importance on the complex policies. Complex policies, I mean that not enough to focusing only in energy, not enough to focus only in environment or social aspects of our life. Comprehensive common policy is needed. There is a buzzword for it. This is the sustainable development. But I hope, I am an optimistic man, I always hope that we will find those kind of actions which is turning down the thermostat in our flat.
Thank you very much, Professor Mamica. You mentioned the nuclear energy, and I'd like to have a question about this, because I think there is a good or much more bad example for Germany. So after the Fukushima accident, Angela Merkel made the decision to close all the nuclear plants in Germany because it's dangerous, and okay, we can understand it. But now we see that there is a quite big problem, so it seems to be like the Germans are the enemies themselves. So the question is, can you imagine that Poland build a nuclear power plant, or that's not necessary? Or what is your opinion generally about the nuclear energy? Is it good or not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that now we have no choice. Then the energy is a very effective way. And what is most important, there is no production of CO2. So the main problem for the climate change. And of course, the security level of European power plants is very high. The example of Fukushima was connected with the tsunami and some mistakes which were done. But in it was the other case which was in the Chernobyl in Ukraine. Yeah, but it was a different type of reactor, different types of culture, and a lot of mistakes which were done at this situation. So I think that this is a very effective way. Also, we should remember that now, last month in Canada, was accepted a new kind of atomic power plants, very small. So they will be much cheaper in the construction process and effective. And the national security authorities responsible for this energy approved it for the construction. And I think that it could be also the solution, unless we solve the problem with the energy storage. And also, it was mentioned before about this habits. I don't know, have you heard why, at what time is during the day is the most effective way to use for example, to making the washing, to turn washing machine, or to make to wash dishes? You know what time is the most friendly for the environment, where is overproduction of electricity? When it's sun, yeah? And we now in Poland make the promotion just for the people. If you can, and if you are at home and during the day, please use your electricity equipment, because the energy is very cheap. And the problem is when the people come home, yeah, early evening, the energy price is very expensive. Yeah, so if we change our habits and try to use energy during the day, it will be not so big pressure for generation of electricity. Yeah, it's very simple, and a lot of us can do it. It costs nothing. It will be supported by new meters, which will show, okay, cheap energy, you pay less, and the people will behave in this way. Thank you.
Yes, I think something that at this point that so your parents and your grandparents live and lived in a more or less stable circumstances. Everything was almost stable, and there were a perspective of smooth developments. But unfortunately, we are over on this time. So we are in the era of dangers. Everything is far from the equilibrium point, and from this aspect, the adaptation. Adaptation by you, adaptation by our university, adaptation by the governments and European unions is always very, very important to adapt for the new challenges. And turning back to your question to the nuclears, the nuclear policy should be tackled in point of view of the optimal energy mix. what is the optimal energy mix for a given country. And for example, in Hungary, where we have almost 40% of the electricity production is coming from Paks, from our nuclear power station, we found a solution for this question, that the optimal energy mix is nuclear, renewables, and much more less fossils. I am not so satisfied with this because there is a missing element, the energy saving. Because the saved energy is also should be the part of the mix. And as we heard about earlier, that the non-used energy is the best from environmental and from climate point of view. So I think we are in a good way to find a more flexible mixture of energy, and I strongly believe that in Hungary we will use in a lengthy period the nuclear power.
Thank you very much. And there is another question, because as I saw the statistics good, in Poland and in Hungary too, every third of the students of the young generation would like to go Western Europe for years or for permanently to, you know, to working and living, and then because there is rich and wealthy countries and like paradise, so the salaries are much more better. Everybody know these maybe cliches, but okay, it's a little true. But I have some friends, for example, in Germany and Sweden, and they told me in the last years that even the Swedish, who are the super wealthy people in Europe, complaining about the electricity bill. So much, it's so much with the cost of the flat that they are complaining. The too much. Okay, they are living in a high expectancy now, but there are serious problems maybe with the societies. And this is the point when the policymakers and the politicians make the decision. So what is the good decision? We have to protect our planet, but we have to do as protect our society. So there can be, as you said, an equilibrium point, or there is no choice. We have to use to that there will be no more easy life in Europe and in America and nowhere.
So I think when you look at the reason of these problems, they are connected with the war in Ukraine, yeah? Because when you look at the energy prices, for example, the price of the gas was 10 times higher after the war in Ukraine. So it was the critical point of destabilization of this market. And now its situation is better, yeah? Also, when we look at the level of prices, they are going down and they are more affordable. For example, in Poland, we have situation that the energy price is subsidized by the states. So people do not pay as much as it really costs. And I think this is the problem, because if you really save the energy, if you know the price, okay, now the people feel, okay, it's not so expensive, so I can use it in not effective way. And of course, everybody is paying for it, yeah? Because what does it mean, subsidy? It means simply that the state is borrowing money and giving to the producers of electricity to make it in an artificial way cheaper. So I do not believe in subsidies. I believe that of course, we can subsidize, but the people who have the problem, not to everyone. But if you are really the poor, you can get the special compensation for the energy prices. But there is no reason to give money to rich people who use the energy, and they should pay more. Yeah. Also, with what is good in this part of the Europe, that the level of development between West and East Europe is changing. Now we observe a lot of Polish people who are coming, for example, from UK, also from Germany back, because they see, okay, the development in Poland was very strong for last 30 years. The level of living is higher. The costs of living are lower than in the West Europe. So even if you earn less money, the standard living could be higher. Yeah? When you look, for example, in UK, in London, even if you take a very big credit, you cannot buy any kind of apartment because it's so expensive. Yeah. So what does it mean that you can earn twice more than in other parts, but you will never buy an apartment? Yeah. So this is not so easy to compare this places, and what's good is the changes in development are smaller.
Thank you. I think there are two additional important factors which may drive or govern the price of energy and our possibilities to use energy. One is the so-called, and now this is almost a buzzword, the energy sovereignty. So how we depend on external energy resources. And this question got a political character as well during the Ukraine-Russian war. For those countries, and Hungary among these countries, which bought and used Russian energy resources. Of course, the energy sovereignty could bring good solutions. One good solution is the utilization of renewables. I think we are in a good way, even in case of solar PV energy utilization. The nuclear is also a relatively good option to improve the energy sovereignty. This is one side of the coin. The other side is as the energy policy making should use it, the affordability. So are we able to pay the energy bill or not? And I absolutely agree with your experience. A few years ago, we made a research on a comparison of the energy poverty in various EU member state countries. And not only the central and eastern part of the European Union are suffered from the energy poverty. The energy poverty is also, unfortunately, a vital phenomena in Germany, in Spain, in Belgium, in Sweden. So this is a real social challenge. This is not an environment or energy policy challenge. This is a social challenge. And that is the reason why the governments made, I think, important steps to subsidize the energy. And I absolutely agree with the professor that for longer term, the energy subsidies will strongly destroy the market. And if we manage the energy production, transportation, and consumption as a market goods, the market conditions are needed. And the subsidies for a longer term disturb these processes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have 9 minutes left, so I would like to ask our participants that if there are any questions for the panel discussions member, you can ask openly. Okay, so I don't see any hands. Okay, so maybe one more question I have, and it will be our last final question, and maybe it will be difficult. I would like to ask you that what do you mean? What is the three biggest problem, the three biggest threat to Poland and to Hungary? And it could be the answer could be environmental, geopolitical. So as you can say, what is the biggest danger of our society, of our nation, of our land? Please name three things, if you could.
I think one is connected with demography, Yeah, as you know, of course, this is not only our, but you have similar situation in Hungary. Yeah, the birthday rate is very, very low, and without the immigrants, we have a very big population from Ukraine now, and they are supporting our market. They are employed. You know, it's very in Krakow. It's very popular when you go by public transport that you hear the Ukraine language. So I think that this is the very serious problem that we will simply have no people to work, and the pension system will have a problem. This is one of the most important problem. Of course, the security is the basic question. Yeah, we don't know what the situation in Russia will be. Yeah, there is also always a threat that the Ukraine will be not the last, that they will make the war with the Baltic republics and later maybe with us. We spent a lot of money on military equipment, and it's really also the fiscal problem, because a lot of money we buy new tanks, new machines. The industry is growing, military industry is growing very fast, because we know that only having the strong army is the solution to the argument for Russia. This is not democratic country, and they understand only the power, not the other relations. So this is not only our problem. Yeah, it's the same with Germany, which are spending 500 billion euro for military and infrastructure reconstruction. So I think this is the second. And unfortunately, the problem with the dry could be also very serious in Poland. We have because a lot of Poland is rather flat country. We have mountains in the south and west, but rest is the flat. A lot of sand, and the water is not keeping long in this ground. Yeah. So and we observe that if the situation will continue with this climate change, it will be very high costs for the country. And of course, other tensions which are similar for all world, connected with the tax war between the United States and EU. We don't know what will be. So insecurity is relatively high. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tamás,
I
how do you
absolutely
see?
agree that the first and most important long-term problem is the demography, and I do not want to add anything to Professor's view, because I fully agree with it. My second point is closely to the drying, is the vulnerability of the food chain. In Hungary, fortunately, we are almost independent in fulfillment of our food needs. We had excellent agriculture conditions for crop production, for fruits and vegetables, and so on. But there are strong scientific evidences that these conditions, the climatic conditions, are under change. And this will somehow negatively influence the whole food chain, the food production, the food distribution, and the consumption side as well. So I am a bit afraid that how we will manage the unprepared circumstances for the national food production. Will we import more, which would give us an additional dependency from external sources, or are we able to change our food consumption? There are a lot of fantastic ideas, from the insects eating until, okay, I do not want to go to this direction. So my third possible endangering factor is how we will cover our development needs. And for example, what kind of development needs I mean? For example, in Hungary, more than 2.5 million obsolete family houses, which could be renovated, which could be refurbished for more energy efficient level. And at the moment, I do not realize where are the financial resources. The owners of these flats and these houses mostly are not able to finance. The government has no resources, the municipality as well. So this is only an example of the development needs. And I am absolutely sure that in your mind, there are also demands. What is your expectations, your future life? And most of these demands are the development needs. And I don't know how we will cover it.
Yes, please.
And there is something what you can do also, it connected with demography. Yeah, for example, I am the father of 4 children. The youngest is a student in your age, but in fact it was something the best what happened in my life. And you know, it's something what it is not going outside. It's individual decision of everyone. So it's possible.
So it can be manageable. Okay, thank you very much. I think it was very exciting conversation about your future, or fast future, but maybe mostly of yours. And thank you very much for our estimated participants. Thank you.